Man, who knew that 3 simple letters could cause so much of an uproar? No, not those ones, not those ones. I'm talking about ADP, ARCEUS, DIALGA, PALKIA. One of the most polarizing cards to have ever come out in the Pokemon TCG. So if you've been living under a rock for the last year or so, I shall give a brief description of what it does and reasons why people consider it broken, and my personal, scrubby, non-professional opinion on the card and whether it should be banned or not. It shouldn't. So go ahead, save yourself some time, leave a dislike, thumb out that rage comment, and don't worry, I'll wait. Okay, now, for those of you who aren't total smooth brains, who didn't just click off the video after 30 seconds and want to hear my reasoning, I'm glad you chose to stick around. Whether you end up agreeing with me or not, hope you enjoy the video. ADP. What does it do? It is a big, thick, basic Pokemon at 280 HP. Her water, metal, and colorless energy deals 150 damage and lets you put 3 basic energies from your deck to anywhere on your field. That's a pretty good ability so far, but the GX attack is where the nuttiness happens. Alter Creation GX for a Metal Plus lets you deal 30 extra damage, bringing that base 150 to 180. And then if you happen to have the water energy as well, because why wouldn't you unless you're really bad at the game, lets you take 1 extra prize if you take a knockout with your active Pokemon. This effect applies to everything. This ability turns any single prize attacker into a 2 prize liability, and perhaps most importantly, turns any 2 prize Pokemon into a 3 prize Pokemon. This is most relevant with superstar support Pokemon Dedenne GX and Crobat V, both of which have under 180 HP, 150 from the base attack, plus 30 from Altered Creation, alongside the powerful gusting effects, Boss's Orders, and Great Catcher. You end up in a situation where you either choose not to play these vital consistency cards, which makes your deck slower and therefore inherently worse, or play them and risk losing into attacks because Boss's Orders ADP go brrrr. There's no denying it. ADP is a very powerful card. However, to classify it as broken is disingenuous. For a card to be broken, at least in the eyes of TPCI and as well as myself, who agrees with this following criteria, it has to fulfill one or more of the following. A card is responsible for winning almost every single tournament it is in, as well as having an absurd percentage of the meta share. A card is completely negating a win condition. A card or combination of cards has the ability to consistently stop people from being able to even play the game before they get a turn, or a card combo is not counterable. Or you can be Bellaba and Bryson, man. Seriously, not complaining since we don't promote that kind of behavior on this channel, but if I'm being honest, I'm not sure why that card was banned. Like, I mean, maybe because that toxicity that mills 5 lets you cap out at 13 milled cards like 75% of the time if you hit the coin flip and your opponent attacks you with Curse Shovel, yada yada, 2 OP, but that's not the point. I'm going to analyze those criteria and see if ADP fits into any of those categories. We'll do the easy ones first. Does it stop anyone from using win condition? No, ADP is an attacker. It's not Lysander's trump card. I don't think I need to explain that one. All right, let's move on. Does it create a combination that consistently stops people from playing the game? No, it is not Forest Giant Plants plus Plume on the turn 1. It is not Jirachi prize manipulation shenanigans. It is not Delinquent Red card. You get it. Broken for this particular criteria would mean that it literally stops you from playing the game with little to no counterplay. Cards like Getsus that completely disintegrates your hand if you get really unlucky and just draw all items. Hex Maniac, which lets your opponent completely play however they want and then just play Hex Maniac and then you're not allowed to play, and then on their turn they can play again. Things like that. really unfair advantage given to your opponent. In reality, you get a chance to take turns and you get to play the game unimpeded, unlike those previously mentioned strategies, all of which are banned. Therefore, it does not fit this criteria either. 2 down, 2 to go. Third point, and probably the most contentious, being so good that it's winning every single tournament. Well, ADP and ADP variants do not actually have that many top finishes, and I have the metrics to back this up. This is a very controversial take, but look, top X is not the same as winning. Ricky Bobby said it best.
If you ain't first, you're last.
I do not care how many day 2s, top 64s, 32s, 8s, whatever something has. If you do not get top 1, it does not really mean that much. But for the sake of today's argument, I will indulge in some top X discussion. But first, you must indulge me. Well, I mean, it's my video, I'm gonna do what I want, but we are first gonna see how many first place finishes ADP currently has. At the time recording this video, September 18th, 2020, according to the available data on limitless.com, ADP and ADP variants have 1, count it, 1 first place finishes in relevant tournament play. Relevant meaning regional sized or bigger. Controversial take number 2 incoming. Special events do not count as relevant. Sorry to my international boys. Half or more of your SPEs are the same size as a large North American Cup. Not going to take you too seriously. Tangent time. One of them had 18 players total. 18! Nice one, Guatemala. That's the same size as a league challenge at my local shop in a city of 300,000. ADP took a bunch of top places in that SPE, funnily enough, but if I take that seriously, then guess what? I'm gonna gather up the entire Table 500 squad. There's like 8 of us, and we're all gonna play 56 energy turbo Maractus coin flips. But you know, it's an SPE, so I'm gonna hear you say it got a 50% meta share, therefore it must be broken. You know what? You heard it here first, boys. Turbo Maractus tier 0, hit it with the ban hammer. Let's go. All joking aside, I'm not taking SPs all too seriously here, but even if you want to add them in, cool, here's a chart. Bam, ADP now accounts for a whopping 3 wins.
Wow.
Wow is right, Owen Wilson. I am sweating over those 3 wins. So yeah, ADP isn't dominating every single tournament like everyone would have you believe, but I'll dig into the stats even deeper and show you the top X meta shares from every single tournament I could find on limitless.com, including the SPEs and online. Sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little bit there. With this information, you will see another major argument of ADP haters fall flat, which is regarding the viability of single prize attackers, or SPAs for short. SPAs actually account for more placements than ADP variants since ADP came out in November 2019, according to limitless.com. Now, the thing that you can't mention on YouTube that's been stopping us from playing tournaments admittedly skews some of these results, especially in the last 6 months or so with the release of Zacian V and Boss's Orders. But even in the online tournaments of late, haven't shown that much of a surge from ADP. The more alarming thing in my research was not ADP decks per se, but ADP when paired up with Zacian V. I didn't get an exact percentage on this because honestly, it's 6 AM where I'm from, writing this part of the script, haven't slept, can't be asked to count it out exactly, but you can go see for yourself if you want. Since Zacian V came out, it seems like 85 to 90% of every ADP deck is ADP Zacian. Is Zacian actually the broken card here? Probably not, but it is something to consider when talking about ADP, whether it should get banned or not. Controversial take number 3. I take any and all online tournaments and results even less seriously than I take SPs.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Listen, being able to sit butt naked in your Cheeto-stained $1,000 gaming chair with Baja Blast dripping up the side of your mouth, hot dog in one hand, wiener in the other hand, while Zach here reminds you to attach return, do whatever, and the game physically locks you from doing something illegal like, oh, I don't No. Playing a second supporter because you already skylit for Sycamore to get you out of the brick next turn in round 7, game 3 of a win in Toronto Regionals 2018 versus Jimmy Pendarvis. Best play in the world, don't at me. You can't Sycamore immediately after that, Derek. You absolute stooge. Cost you the game, chance to win the first ever day 2, moron! Is way easier than having to travel hours away, endure 9 hours of in-person interactions, possibly without a lunch break because you're round 4 or 5 ran late, and sleep in a shitty hotel if you were lucky. And you get to come back, do it again against the best players from day 1. You get my point. IRL, much harder than online. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying for clout or hasn't played the game long enough to realize their mistake. But I'll still humor you and show stats for those online tournaments. And oh, hey look, ADP still doesn't quite outshine SPA decks. As you can see, single prize attackers still take a considerable amount more of the meta share than ADP, and at the top end have better overall finishes. So no, ADP does not stop single prize attacking decks from shining. Does it limit you? Sure, but every good meta card limits your options. ADP is good. In fact, it's very good, but it is not fundamentally broken. While Players' Cup featured only one single prize attacking deck in the final bracket in the post-rotation format, my brief analysis of the Players' Cup, which was basically pseudo 2020 Worlds because of the thing, can't say it on YouTube, will nicely tie in to my last point. Counterplay. Is ADP counterable? If it wasn't, it would have won more than one relevant regional. It would have won Players' Cup. It would have had a bigger percentage of people playing the deck throughout this entire thing that's been happening over the last 6 months. But the Players' Cup illustrates my counterplay point perfectly. I feel like the single prize attackers of choice showcased in the Players' Cup, despite them not being well represented as a whole, because there was only one deck played out of 16, was a massive difference maker in the outcome of that tournament, even though they were sprinkled in to some of the bigger decks like the VMAXs and things of that nature. Decidueye Goons, while not winning the tournament, did take a free win in round 1 losers brackets against ADP because it completely blocks ADP and friends, while the winning deck, Lucario Melmetal, featured Bronzong, a single prizer which shuts down Centiscorch, which was that guy got a little bit lucky because he saw both of them, but doesn't matter. Still a single prizer getting some shine. Lucario Melmetal even took a win against ADP top 4 winners bracket. I mean, while we're talking about cards that made it to the final, Zacian V was featured on both finalists lists. Again, not gonna say Zacian V is broken because it's not, but just gotta point it out. Zacian V, 2 worlds finals, ADP 0. Point being, there's certainly counterplay to ADP, and the deck isn't unbeatable. It is not up to TPCI to ban ADP so you don't have to think about it. It is up to you to get good like the players did in that cup. Figure out how to go about beating it. That, or, I mean, you can just join the slew of all the other players hopping on the bandwagon. Play ADP yourself. I, for one, welcome our time distorting dragon overlords with open arms. Whining for a ban that will probably never come, and creating unsanctioned cash prize tournaments that specifically ban ADP because you're bad at the game is not the way to go about dealing with it. I mean, you're free to create your own tournaments, ban whatever you want, good for you. I'm also free to call you bad at the game for doing that. In closing, ADP is not worthy of the ban hammer because it doesn't stop you from playing the game, doesn't stop you from winning in either of the 2 main methods, that being prize cards or deck out. It doesn't win at an unhealthy rate compared to decks of the past or present, and at this current time, with the analytics currently available and the card pool at our disposal in this moment, it is possible to counter. All of these points backed up by exhaustive, indisputable analytics and data from the most reliable source on the internet for Pokemon TCG content, and that would be Limitless. Improvise, adapt, overcome, get good. That's the formula. That is how you deal with ADP. Could it be broken in the future? No idea. Literally anything could be broke with the right future support. But at this time, there is no evidence to suggest that banning ADP would change too much other than make the really bad players cry a little bit less until the next time when a broken. Non-ADP deck comes up, and I've got to make this video all over again.